Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys had a wonderful week. Just another weekly update video on my portfolio. Just going to share the dividends that I received and other just random status updates or things I want to talk about. So I'm just going to get right into it. So, of course, since I hold all weekly payers, I got uh, dividends for those tonight from Robinhood. If you guys aren't in Robinhood, you might get those tomorrow morning. I know I used to be in M1 Finance, and all the dividends would be next day. I've heard of some brokerages like Fidelity will do it same day in the morning, which is kind of jealous, but it is what it is. So QDTE is currently my biggest position in this portfolio, and I received $121.04 today. XDTE, this one I bought a new position of this earlier this week. I put in $8,000 into this one. Of course, XDTE is the one I want to make my biggest position in terms of weekly pairs, just because, in my personal opinion, I think it's the best one of the round hills. And I mean, how can you complain about the S&P 500? You know, especially with how well it's performing and just consistent payouts and NAV. So, of course, you guys can look into that. Um, the dividend I received for this one is $33.75. RDTE is the next one. This is the second largest position I have in my portfolio, and I received $43.26. YMAX is probably the smallest position in my portfolio. Not necessarily a fan favorite of this one per se. I personally like to hold it just because, YMAX, or excuse me, not YMAX, YieldMax is always creating new ETFs. And so whenever they get new single stock ETFs, they'll probably add it into this fund. I kind of yeah, it's just for fun, I guess, for right now. I'm not sure. I've been in and out of YMAX. We'll see. I might I might change my mind. Who knows? But currently, I'm just going to hold it just for the freak factor. But currently, at least as of today, I got $67.77 from this one. So of course, we add all that up. That is a grand total of $265.82 for this week. So I mean, pretty comparable to last week, right? And keep in mind, because we have a fifth week in January in terms of payouts, that will count towards this month. So keep that in mind. For the month's total, I got $1,663.18 so far. Next week, I'll also add those dividends in to the monthly total as well. Keep in mind, in week 2, I did hold Alti. I sold out of that one. I think just like everyone else, it seems like I'm just kind of fed up with the performance. I don't know. Who knows? I might keep an eye out on it. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. I don't want to say anything else. I've been burned by Alti. So yeah, kind of bummed with that one. Felt like that one has so much potential and just bummed with the performance. But, a dividend is a dividend. And of course, it counts for the month. So that's why week 2 looks so big compared to the rest. So, of course, you can see my portfolio is currently at $11,580.09, at least from what you're seeing. As far as cash wise goes, buying power is currently $2,666.88. So I am above that 5% margin buffer. So that puts me at currently a margin status of low risk, which is great. I was in that high risk margin status earlier today, but of course, because the dividends get pay your margin right back, so it brought me up to low risk again. Not too worried about this at all. I have cash on the side, so I can always put more cash in, increase my margin buffer. Not worried about it at all. I'm going very aggressive right now. I'm really wanting to focus on weekly pairs. So I'm just trying to build my portfolio up in terms of total portfolio value. That's my goal. Um, yeah, so I'm not necessarily too concerned about this. I feel like I have pretty good holdings here for the most part. Of course, my portfolio is disorganized, in my opinion. I really want XDTE to be my numero uno. Currently, QDTE is my biggest position. Don't want to sell out of that one. Just going to hold it. I mean, of course, I'll add more. I'll buy more shares of each of these, but for certain, I'm going to put XDTE as the number one in terms of weekly pairs. I personally think it's the best one overall. If you want an overall balance, that is. So I've watched that one for a long time, and yeah, I mean, like I mentioned in my last video, really the only reason I didn't get into it initially was because I was more enticed with QDTE's distributions at the time. But if you guys are keeping track, you can see that XDTE has had some wins. I mean, there's been times where XDTE has like been the same or more in terms of distribution than QDTE has in like some weeks. So it's nice, I think, to have a mix. In my personal opinion, you can't go wrong. So I did not add anything to my watch list this week. Of course, I know I mentioned adding some curve funds to the list. Curve isn't really talked about much in the space. I know I wasn't initially impressed with them, but now I've become to change my mind. I know the Oracle's been talking a lot about curve funds, and he's brought that to my attention. He's come out with some great videos on that recently. So please go watch his channel. He is fantastic. But yeah, those are really the only things I've added earlier this week to my watch list. I know I've talked about before maybe adding YMAG. I will not probably be adding that anytime soon just because the margin maintenance. And I mean, I already have YMAX, so I'm not sure why I would have YMAG. I think there's better funds out there. But yeah, other than that, not really anything else catching my attention right now. So yeah, that's nice. Of course, as you can see as well, I'm going aggressive on my margin, but not going to use any of my buying power probably right now. I'm just going to build a little bit more of a buffer probably for right now, and then use my margin whenever I see good opportunities. But yeah, just going to let this kind of go on its own a little bit. Probably just take the distributions, put it towards my margin, and yeah, probably will be adding to XDTE. I can't think of any other positions I'm going to add to this right now. I know for next week, PLTY, I know that's been on my watch list for a while. I did get a little burned from that a few weeks ago when I owned that. Oh, wow. Sorry. Nope. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I got burned on this one a little bit a few weeks ago. Held PLTY, got the distribution, but of course then PLTY went down. So I know in the past with yield max funds, I have sometimes, if knowing what the distribution is, so I've done this with like Nvidia, for example. What the distribution is because they declare it, right? I have chosen to also just completely sell out of a yield max position just to take the gain and just to see like, hey, that if it, of course, it's going to drop by the distribution amount, but if I don't think it's necessarily going to recover, or if there's better buying opportunities, then yeah, like I've sold out of it completely, and I've had good success with that. But yeah, I know with PLTY, for some reason, I can't remember why I held it, but that was going to go up. I'm keeping my eye on that one, but yeah, I got a little bit burned on that a few weeks ago. Not by much though. I only had like a few $1,000s in that. But that one might be on my watch list for next week in terms of distributions. I know that's in, gosh, I think group B or C, whatever's paying. But anyways, that is pretty much all the portfolio updates that I have for this week. Yeah, really the big one, like I already talked about in a previous video, bought $8,000 worth of XDTE. Yeah, but on a week bait, so for performance for the week, I went up almost 6% in my portfolio. So hopefully you guys also saw some green as well. Of course, can't complain about that. But yeah, other than that, just that's pretty much it for updates on the portfolio. So if you guys want to support me and help me grow this channel, please subscribe if you want. I greatly appreciate your comments and everything. You guys rock. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.